FTC is now considering fining YouTubers for child attractive content. Now, this is in addition to the child directed content that falls under the COPPA, or the Child's Online Privacy Protection Act.
If the FTC is bringing independent piecemeal actions against content creators for violating COPPA, that may discourage content creators from posting content on YouTube.
Is there going to be changes on the platform that's going to affect how people interact with your videos? So here are some of the changes. YouTube will stop serving personalized ads. No comments, info cards, or end screens will be on those videos. No stories, community tabs, or the notification bell. Also, viewers won't be able to actually save to watch later or add videos to a playlist. And was able to start lobbying on our behalf as YouTube creators. Now, here's the crazy thing. Some of these lawmakers were actually passing bills or proposing bills that affect everyone on YouTube.
So, changed. I had an interview that was scheduled, and now it would be in a couple hours, but it's been rescheduled, so I don't have to worry about that. So I can put my sweatshirt back on and chill. But I want to talk about this FTC thing, the stuff that's coming down on us content creators and all of that stuff, and really how that's going to impact us, because this is important, whether you do kid-friendly content or not. Okay, when I worked my job, and people started finding out that, not that it was a secret, but it's kind of like, do it really matter what I'm doing outside of work? But people start finding out that I have a YouTube channel, that I'm doing small business coaching and video marketing coaching on the side and stuff like that. I have my own company, starting to hire people, had a virtual assistant and stuff like that. And so just like, okay, well, what's this little YouTube thing that you're doing? Or what's this little podcast thing that you're doing? Granted, my other podcast that I had to eventually shut down reached out to over 30-something countries, and I don't even know how many downloads or whatever. And it's just like, so, it's like, but they would say these demeaning things like, oh, you just only have 15 or 20 subscribers, you only have 100 subscribers, and all this extra other kind of stuff. But, fast forward, joke's on them, because I'm living my dreams now. So, I'm talking to you about to, make eggs and sausage. So, but moving beyond that, when we were talking about this whole FTC thing, you have where now people that don't understand, very similar people that are uneducated about YouTube, that are uneducated about social media, they only see the negatives, and they only understand the negatives. Now, I understand that, because if you're not in this space, if you're not paying attention to what's going on or what's happening or whatever the case is, you're not, like, this stuff is foreign, it's not going to make sense, because it's not the traditional way of making money, it's not the traditional way of connecting with people, it's not the traditional way of anything. And so we're having these adverse effects of things that we could not have planned for, like having kids that are now becoming more depressed because of the amount of screen time that they're having, and that now becoming a factor, and having to watch for predators online, just in whether you're doing a family vlog and your kids are going swimming. And so like what we were dealing with before, it's just like all these predators out there causing all these issues. It's become like this whole huge problem that now has to be addressed, in the amount of even like suicide amongst children between a certain age range. It is really becoming a serious issue. And so instead of parents being more aggressive in the parenting when it comes to this stuff, because I see it all the time, not that I'm blaming parents or anything like that, but I am just making the point that it's like the government is now going to try to regulate stuff that otherwise parents would do. Just like our parents would tell us whether or not who we're hanging with is a good person to hang or be around with, whereas now it could be that same negative kind of person, you're just simply watching their stuff online and connecting with them virtually, and it's still having negative, if not worse, adverse effects. Just for the visual capabilities that you can do with video, really starting to far exceed what you could do one-to-one at times.
response. So I was looking at the Gettysburg Address, which is for sure. Hopefully I brought another. So the way the FTC works is there's 5 commissioners who really have the final say on what's going to happen. So I'm here right now at the Federal Trade Commission, getting ready to go in and meet with some of the commissioners. This building is getting a positive response. He decided to take them off, and YouTube is our primary source. In a way that would make you have to turn off personalized ads. He's currently proposing a bill where the same thing is happening right now to YouTube.
So I'm supposed to eat a certain amount of protein every day, certain amount of protein, carbs, and fat. And so the easiest way for me to do that is a nice hearty breakfast. A lot of eggs usually helps. And so let's finish our talk after I have a little bit of food in my belly, a little focus, and then we'll pick up from where we left off at. But how do you like your eggs? I like mine firm, but still kind of soft. All right, so that was a nice hearty breakfast, and hopefully I don't get the itis and get too sleepy. So let's get to the point of the video. When we're talking about these rules and regulations and stuff like that, a couple different things to understand. When you are entering into these terms and conditions, these terms and agreements and things like that, you check the box, you put your name, or you're acknowledging all of these things. A lot of times that also means that you're making yourself and your channel and potentially your business liable for some things that begin to happen. So when these changes come about, you're automatically opted in to this because you agreed originally to be on this platform and to abide by the rules. And that's any social media platform, that's any company, that's, for your jobs and stuff like that, which a lot of times people don't read those, and I frustrate everybody anytime it comes to a point where I need to sign something, even down to my first car. It's like, oh, this paragraph just says this, now, and whatever. And so you just, sign a date. No. I can read for myself. I'm very competent in understanding contract law. So I can read this for myself. And furthermore, should there be anything that I don't agree with, you have a right to request a change or something like that, which is why if you're ever applying for something like a car or something like that, or not necessarily applying, which you're kind of like going through that process to get a car, it's called a conditional approval because they're providing the conditions that you're able to say yay or nay to, or it's like, hey, we're offering this at this thing. You don't have to say yes to it. You can say, well, hey, I'm getting this over here. Can you guys knock down the APR to this amount, or can we agree to this like that? And you're able to refer back to them the conditions that you're now offering and whether or not you agree to it or not. And so same thing with these social media platforms. And I recently had this conversation with somebody that reached out to me about a brand deal. And they was like, oh yeah, you just buy or you pay for it, or we'll, credit you half. You pay for it, essentially, and then we'll mail it out to you. You leave a review on Amazon, and then we'll send you the rest of the money via PayPal. And this happens a ton. So even if this sounds a little ridiculous to you, or you've agreed to this, then it's like, I need you to understand that's against the terms and conditions according to your contract with Amazon as an affiliate for the company. And so and I told them that, I said, no, if you want to send me the product, I'll be happy to look at it and decide whether or not this is something that I want to review on my channel or not, whether or not I get to keep it, or something like that. And I'll make the decision to give an unbiased review and stuff like that, but I'm not paying for anything. And then, this kind of whatever, because you're buying, which is again against the rules, and it may be fine for them to do that for their business, but it is against my contractual obligation with Amazon, and I am not willing to put the amount of money that I'm making through Amazon affiliates off and be, and break and be at breach of contract with Amazon because you don't think anybody reads the terms and conditions. It's like, oh no, we work with other YouTubers all the time, and they do this, and it's not against the breach of their contract. And I said, well, whatever their thing is, so be it. But I'm telling you what I know I signed my name off on and put my business liable for. I know what I read, and I know what I agreed to. Furthermore, I reached out to Amazon to confirm that. And so they were like, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what it says, and this is exactly what it means. So when we take into context this whole thing with YouTube and what they're saying is that basically the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, they came to an agreement with YouTube, and YouTube is now having to crack down on stuff and say that if you have content that is appealing to children, that are appealing to kids in general, or whatever the case is, you now have, and I just literally saw this yesterday when I was wrapping up and uploading yesterday's vlog. I took some screenshots of it just because I'm like, okay, this is different, and I'm aware that some things are changing, and now I'm seeing these being implemented. So what does that really mean for us as business owners, entrepreneurs, and content creators? Like I said, I'm out of 21 nieces and nephews. If I am doing stuff where I'm involving them or whatever, or if like I got this little Charlie Brown Christmas tree going on, put some presents under it for them, and I want to vlog that and include that and stuff like that, is this something that may appeal to children? At that point, it would be yes, and all of that. So me marking my channel, so you have it at the channel level where you can say, yes, none of the stuff, old or new, coming to the channel has anything to do with children's content, doesn't appeal to kids, kids in general and stuff like that. You still have to, they'll give you that overall blanket, but you still have to go through and dictate even specific videos. Now, YouTube has their own systems, and they always talk about their machine learning that they're going through, and that if they decide that it's like, oh, well, you said that it wasn't, but we're saying yes to it, that means you lose comments. It means that you lose ads that are specific to that person's interest. So if you've ever bought anything as a result of an ad, or you saw it a couple times, it piqued your interest, whether like here on Instagram's really good at that. It's just like you've been watching stuff about beauty, and maybe you all of a sudden now, it's Halloween, you want to become Ursula. You want to do makeup for Ursula, like in an Ursula fashion. That's something that would appeal to children. So while your overall channel may be about women and makeup, that content now is something that appeals to children. So I'm gonna pull it up here on my phone. So these are the factors that YouTube is saying that you need to consider: the subject matter of the video, if children are the intended audience, if it includes child actors or models, if it includes characters, celebrities, or toys that quote unquote appeal to children, if it uses language that is meant for children to understand. So maybe you're speaking it in a certain way, or using certain descriptive words. Think about any child television that you've ever seen. They're explaining things specific to an age group, so that means a certain vocabulary. So that's going to be really bizarre. And it says, or if it includes activities that appeal to children. Several activities appeal to children. Think about Bill Nye the Science Guy. Even if you're an adult, you would probably learn something, but that's something that, even though it's science and it's general, may appeal to children. So this whole thing with the word appeal to, or potentially appeal to children and stuff like that, everything would. Like some of everything can. If I decide that, again, I'm maybe covering a business topic or something like that, and all of a sudden I want to talk about how to help you, include your children in your business, which is something that you legally have an option to, and not have to deal with tax ramifications of that. It's a specific book right here called Home Business Tax Savings Made Easy. He talks about that in his book. And so there are a ton of stuff that goes into things where you could potentially add in kids. So this other rule that they have here that would come by way of that, if they do deem that you have stuff that appeals to these categories, comments going to be turned off. Personalized ads, where it's more easier to get clicks on those because of the ad revenue. It's something that is of interest to the person. Information cards, so those little iCards that are usually up here in the corner about anything. So like I'm gonna reference those live streams that I talked about before about the previous issues. Just honestly as a reference, you can check them out if you want to, but they're linked up there. That info card now would not be available. As well as end screens, so the usual, like subscribe bubble and then 2 squares on the side, that now goes away if you don't comply with that, or if they do deem that your stuff is for children. Not that you did anything wrong, that it appeals to children. So here's a really interesting thing, that when it comes to legal issues and stuff like that. And this is a very like high level overview. Definitely check out all the links to the videos down below. I even put in a comment as well so that you have access to those. Please go and watch these videos, because again, whether you're trying to get started on YouTube, you're thinking about it, this is also stuff that we have to consider. It's not just going to affect YouTube, but very much so some of these other social platforms, just like you have Facebook and their Facebook Watch, that's becoming more of a thing and shows specific to that. And we're entering this realm of media, true media issues that are coming to everyday average individuals and business owners that otherwise wouldn't have to know anything about this kind of stuff, and learn and educate yourself on that. So something I was doing, like you guys know I love books, I'm even thinking about putting way more bookshelves in here, is you have like books like this, like Black's Law Dictionary. I picked these up, and other law dictionaries, other stuff that I've studied as well. Like I said, talked about contract law. I am a huge nerd. And so when it comes about that, from some of everything perspective, because I figure if I'm going to start a business, with some of these books I've had for quite some time, but it's like, if I want to start a business, I need to be educated in the things that are specific to what I'm doing, understanding the papers that I'm signing, and being able to understand the agreements that I'm entering into for different things, and just according to my personality type and the way that I learn and stuff like that. I really want to understand what I'm getting involved in before I say yes to something. So when we think about a simple word, let's just take a word like label. So let's take a very simple word like label. This is according to the legal dictionary, not just some, other dictionary that I have up there from Webster or whatever. This is what it says about label. It says, number one, an informative logo, title, or similar marking affixed to a manufactured product. Number two, any writing, such as a codicil, attached to a larger writing. Number three, a narrow slip of paper or parchment attached to a deed or writ in order to hold a seal. So even if we think about label, we may think about something like on like an Amazon label that gets put on a box or something like that, where it's like we're thinking one thing in our common everyday use of the word, and it may not have anything legally when it applies to, an issue. It may mean something completely different, and you'll miss some of those simple words where it's just like, oh, well, if it's knowledge, then it means that that's something that I know. Whereas if we look up the word know, and I'm not going to go through that, there's whole different types of variations from know all men of these presents, from know how, from knowing or knowingly. All of these things have completely different legal definitions in the context of how something may be used. And when you're not aware of the context that something is legally being applied to an issue, it can be very confusing. That in itself may just be very confusing, like what the hell did we just go through? And it's just like the legal definition of a word. So when we're coming against this, like may appeal to, what is it that they're actually saying? And even YouTube is saying they don't know. So if they don't know, it makes it very hard for us as content creators and entrepreneurs to be able to say that we know or have a level of understanding, because we don't. It's really getting frustrating, honestly. Granted, with all the problems that YouTube has or have had, it's still the best thing ever. And even if another platform came about, it wouldn't matter. It'd still be applied to that. You know what I'm saying? It's still going to be, whether it's an internet restriction or whatever. I think the answer is not known yet. And as we enter into new realms of media, it can't really be known. There's no way to know what to expect or the ramifications of access to the internet at all times of the day, to every person, everywhere, for everything, in an unlimited amount of just stuff. There is no way to possibly know, how that's going to impact people. Again, like I said, we already talked about how negatively this is going to be impacting kids and even us, or our attention spans or lack of them, or focus or understanding or knowing or our knowledge in a positive or a negative way. And so we now have to enter into this issue where not just for people that are doing the negative things, but what about those people that are doing some really cool stuff? I've been introduced to a lot of cool family vlogs. Even myself, initially when I was searching for information about the Canon M50, I came across this one guy who got it because he wanted to up the quality for his family vlog, and they have a son that has autism. And it was the coolest thing to see and to understand, because I have a cousin that's autistic, and I remember growing up, it's just like a lot of things like, well, we don't understand why is he different, or why does he do things different than we would, or why can't we communicate him with the same way? And so it would only be, our other family members that could explain what that means and why this or why that, or what that attachment thing is that they have, or no, they just need space right now, or when they have a fit, what that means. And so being able to see that from a different level of a kid on a different spectrum of that autism spectrum, and just seeing how the siblings interact, how the dad interacts, and how he's explaining things. And there are so many other families and parents in the comments that are being helped, and just like, oh, I didn't know, or I didn't realize that maybe we should cut their hair less because they really don't like it, or they're really sensitive when it comes to sensory items. And then going to church now and seeing that we have areas, and just like when they had the fall festival, there are areas and there are things that are designated for sensory issues. So it's before, if I hadn't watched that vlog, because I didn't even learn stuff even with interacting with my cousin, and still didn't know a whole lot. I wound up just like binge watching this whole channel, because I'm learning so much, and it's so fascinating to really understand how a different family dynamic works. And then one of my friends had wound up having a son with autism, and it's just like, okay, well, here's this vlog that I watched, and he explained like, these are some of the things, and when they were little, this is when they, just learning to talk and stuff like that, these are some of the things that they ran into. And then too, just running into people on Facebook, and they're like, hey, just found out, whatever. It's just like, it's not a dark tunnel. There's answers. There's people that are showing and sharing their experiences, but because this now involves children, that family now may not be able to receive income or comments, or, and communication that you have from creator to community, to create community as a whole, now no longer exists, because you have people sitting in a room trying to understand this world and this space, and it's really foreign to them, and it doesn't make sense. So all they can think of is just to cut it off at the knees. So I said, even I don't have answers. It's absolutely something that, should it come to like the guy who does J House vlogs, so that's J House Law. I'll link everything just wherever you can find the videos that I'm talking about. Watch them for yourself. You may not understand everything. It is a lot to digest and so forth. And even Daryl Eves that we were watching earlier, he did a segment on this and all of that. So I just think that we really, no matter how big your channel is or whatever, or if you're making money, like, well, I'm not even at 1,000 subscribers yet, I'm not worried about monetization, or I'm not going to do, like, it affects everybody. My purpose with this channel is, like I said, to help you share your vision using video. Everybody's vision and the mission behind what they're doing and why they start their channel is all very different. And I respect and honor and encourage everybody to kind of be a voice. The same way, whether it's like 5 or 10 people that watch this video, or 5 or 500 people that watch this video, or any of my videos, you know what I'm saying? I have some that's like up into the 5-figure, and it's just like, what the heck is going on? So we never know who or how our video is going to impact who or where, and if it just so happens to be kid friendly or not, will impact the income now that we can or cannot make. While YouTube and the income that I make here is not my primary source of income, it is a very nice, sizable amount of income as well. From everything that comes as a result of the videos. I've gotten clients both coaching as well as video editing and production work as a result of this channel and the content that I make. I've, been able to quit my job as a result of finding other creators and entrepreneurs and being able to create deeper relationships with them, and now being friends with, like all these different people, and just growing my personal networking community of people that I can know, like, and trust because of YouTube. So, I hate to see this platform go down the tank. I mean, every platform, I guess, has its shelf life. And, stuff like MySpace eventually went away. Black Planet, if you were ever on there, about that, went away. A bunch of other stuff. So I hope that they get this sorted out. But I'm willing to make my voice heard and my opinions known. And so there is a petition down in the description and it should be on any of these other videos that I've linked to as well. Regardless as to the size of your channel or anything else, I highly, highly would encourage you to just leave your thoughts, because they're only getting one side of it, and that's from the people saying shut it down, stop letting them do whatever. Because you got to think, there are also brands and other companies, like, I almost said the name of one of them, but like streaming companies that YouTube is a competitor to. The fact that you're here this long, for those of you that are still watching this video, are watching stuff on YouTube and not their stuff. Like Disney Plus just kicked off this week, and you're watching YouTube and not them. So they have lobbyists and stuff like that advocating for certain things, because it brings that attention back to where it is safe. So I don't know, man. It's a lot to digest, a lot to think about. But leave your comments down below as always. Live with passion, and I'll see you on the next video. But make sure you leave your voice and comments heard, not just down in the comments, but on that petition and stuff like that. So I'm getting ready to go do that right now.